Ladies and gentlemen, family members, and honored guests, welcome to the 2020 Pioneer High School graduation ceremony. Please welcome Associated Student Body President, Kyle Kitagawa.
Welcome, friends, family, and fellow graduates. My name is Kyle Kitagawa, and I am Pioneer's 2019 through 2020 Associated Student Body President. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as Pioneer's Lydia Watson sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lydia. Now I'd like to welcome Pioneer's Associated Student Body Activities Director, Tavion Daniels.
Welcome, distinguished guests, parents, and friends to our Class of 2020 graduation ceremony. This evening, we will be honoring Pioneer students who have worked hard to earn their place on this stage. I am now pleased to welcome this year's graduation commencement speaker, Isabella Paloma.
Good evening. My name is Isabella Paloma, and I'm the 2020 Senior Class President. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm honored to be giving this year's graduation speech. To say the least, our senior class has lived through many hardships. We were born in the shadows of 9/11 that changed security and safety policies forever. Then we experienced the Great Recession that drastically impacted the economy. Today, we are now surviving a pandemic that may forever change how the society interacts. Through the midst of it all, we sit here in quarantine with only time on our hands. It's what stays the same even when everything else around us changes. Although we cannot control time itself, the one aspect that we do control is how we spend it. These past 4 years have been spent growing connections, making friends, and educating ourselves to continue to foster and grow. The time we shared with one another and the memories that we've made are irreplaceable moments in our lives. Over the years, we've come together bonding over the small things, like being clueless freshmen, procrastinating our community service hours, stressing over standardized tests, and missing almost everything about the place we were ready to leave. For many, including myself, this absence of our senior year has left us feeling sad, frustrated, and deprived of our last year of high school. I want everyone to know that all our feelings are important, and in order to move forward, we need to embrace those emotions. In light of this situation, this extra time can be seen as a great opportunity to refocus and strengthen ourselves. The silver lining of this time away from society is that we've been given the chance to make changes that have the potential to strengthen us mentally and physically. In a day's worth of time, we get to choose how we spend it. This is our opportunity to become the best version of ourselves, because in life, everything should be a get to, especially in these hard times. If there is one thing to learn from this pandemic, It's that time can be unforgiving, and you may never know when it'll be the last time until you never get that opportunity again. This should give us all the more reason to take that leap of faith, not only to be better role models for those to come, but for ourselves. We all remember Gandhi saying, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." So let's start with ourselves so that we can be that change. Growing up, I learned that to be loved is more important than to give love. And that concept is not understood well enough because we cannot give what we do not have. We cannot change the world if we haven't done so for ourselves. Everything starts within you. And now is the time to start giving back to yourself so that we can rise above all limiting beliefs that may hold us back from being better leaders of tomorrow. The world may be changing around us, and that's far beyond our control. So let this be the fire and light that allows us to take control of something in our lives. We cannot let our doubts, worries, and fears weigh us down because there's no time more important than now. And as new leaders of tomorrow, we must rise up to make a difference in what seems like a never-ending darkness. Together, we are not alone. We can take this time to accomplish anything and be the change. The future is bright, and I know that we will accomplish many successes. Congratulations, class of 2020. We made it.
To introduce our commencement speaker, please welcome back our Associated Student Body President, Kyle Kitagawa.
Delivering our commencement speech, please join me in welcoming American pianist, songwriter, and class of 1998 alumni, Mr. Alan Chang.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to the teachers and faculty, family and friends of the graduates, family pets of the graduates, and to the Pioneer High School class of 2020. I know this day isn't how you imagined it. You deserve to be sitting among your fellow classmates, looking out on the rose garden to a crowd filled with loved ones.
Wouldn't this be better if all you could see was the back of my head and barely be able to hear me?
Thank you to Principal Espiritu for inviting me to share a few words with the class of 2020. My name is Alan Chang. I graduated Pioneer in 1998. That was long before there was social media. Back then, the only way you could follow someone was to creep around behind them. While at Pioneer, I played piano in the jazz band and was a rehearsal pianist for the annual school musical. I also worked in town as pianist at Sterling Dance Theater and played in the pit orchestra for San Jose Children's Musical Theater. Music kept me busy. I knew I wanted to go to music school after graduation, so I did my homework and I studied hard. The only C I ever got was in tennis. Who knew that practicing your scales could improve your ability to throw a tennis racket? I was a bit naive in high school, and looking back, that was such a blessing. Music was what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know exactly what that would entail, but I didn't care. I knew music made me happy. After high school, I went down south to attend the University of Southern California, where I was a jazz studies major. About a month before I graduated, I played for a friend's senior recital. It was in a small classroom with about 30 people in attendance. It just so happened that one of those people worked for the record label at Warner Brothers. Less than a year later, he reached out to me to set up an audition for a new jazz singer that they had just signed named Michael Bublé. Before I even arrived at the Hollywood rehearsal space, I already knew my competition. They were all better than me. They were all older, more experienced, and undoubtedly had nicer pianos. So I figured that this audition would be a good learning experience, and that's about it. I felt no pressure since there was no way I had a chance. The lack of nerves helped me play pretty well. At the end of the audition, I shook Michael's hand and wished him good luck with his career, figuring I'd never see him again. Just as I expected, there was one pianist who blew Michael away with his talent and ability to lead the rest of the band. He was asked to join Michael for a week of shows at the Cinegrill Club at the famed Roosevelt Hotel. Fortunately for me, this pianist is a man of integrity. He was busy that week, and he wouldn't back out of his prior commitments. So I got called back for a second audition. This time, it was at the Malibu mansion of Grammy Award-winning producer David Foster. This was a gated house within a gated community. The driveway to the main house seemed to go on forever, passing perfectly manicured grass that doubled as a golf course. There was even a trolley that went from his bedroom balcony to a swimming pool and tennis court. It truly felt that I'd entered a completely different world. David answered the door and asked me to take a seat while he finished up a phone call. He directed me to a corner right next to his 16 Grammy Awards. I mean, what a brilliant way to intimidate a 23-year-old kid whose crowning achievement to date was being waitlisted to play piano at Nordstrom's. After he finished up his phone call with a private jet company, we took a golf cart to his studio. The walls were filled with gold and platinum records. I had learned how to play the piano by playing songs he had written or produced, so it was a pretty surreal moment for me. During the audition, he got a call from a friend. He asked if he could call him right back, as he was busy looking for a band for Michael Bublé. He told his friend, "Yeah, we're just looking for a bunch of kids who think $1,000 a week is a lot of money." I didn't quite understand that smirk on his face until years later. The audition finished with he and Michael asking me to be the musical director and pianist for a week of work.
Why did I choose Alan? Well, I mean, some guys just have the ability to make their teammates better, you know? And not really through his musicality or his playing. It was more just that he looked so miserable on stage that I always just look like a much nicer person, you know, in comparison, pretty much.
That first week of gigs has led to 17 years of traveling the world playing music with some of my closest friends. I've been playing some of these songs before most of you could even walk. From songwriting to arranging to producing to being a band leader, I've learned skills on this job that I never ever imagined while at Pioneer. My career path, like so many others, was a case of preparation meeting opportunity. I got the gig because the first choice wasn't available. I wasn't even the best at my audition, but my secret weapon was an empty calendar and a light wallet. The timing was right. Had Michael started his career 1 year earlier, I would still be in college. And there's no way I would have dropped out of school with that diploma in my reach for some unknown Canadian crooner with slightly above average hockey skills.
Slightly above average hockey skills, my ass, Alan Chang.
I certainly took a chance by going to college to study jazz. I didn't know where I was going, let alone have any idea on how to get there. I focused on what I could control, pursuing my passion with hard work, curiosity, and a bit of naivete. Along the way, I compared myself to others and wondered if I was good enough. And that's natural. But you don't have to be the best. You just have to be your best. You never know where the universe will take you. You might get to the bridge just as it's finished being built, while others ahead of you had to run around the water. But we all seem to get to where we're going the moment we were meant to arrive. So class of 2020, be a tough act to follow, because I'm sure you don't want people creeping around behind you.
Hello, Pioneer. I'm Brian Wheatley, your proud SJUSD board member for this amazing high school. I'd like to start by telling you how proud I am of how you have dealt with this pandemic and the resulting disruption to your education. Know that I see you, and you are dedicated, intelligent, and incredibly resilient. You are the future. I also want you to know that we have something in common. I too have been in education a long time, having been a teacher and a union leader since 1985. Don't do the math. In fact, if you're curious about my age, I was born the same year as Pioneer. I'm retiring, which is kind of like a graduation. As we move on to the next phase of our lives, I do have one piece of advice. Don't let COVID-19 define you. Learn from it, grow because of it, and go on to do something amazing for yourselves, your families, and our community. On behalf of the San Jose Unified School District Board of Education, it is my distinct honor to accept the Pioneer High School Class of 2020. Go Mustangs!
It is with great pleasure that I present to you the Class of 2020.
And now the Pioneer High School graduating class of 2020 as they walk the stage. Thomas Patterson, UC Santa Cruz.
We now proudly present to you Pioneer High School's graduating class of 2020.